Let me see here. Let's get this rolling. Can everybody hear me?
Yep.
So I know the topic today, I think is a really important topic. Not that the other topics haven't been important, but I do feel that this one, especially in this market, is important because we want to start sharing with everybody who's out there and who's on this call, all of our listing presentations and our processes on how to get more listings, because there's an old saying in real estate, and that is, you have to list to last. And I do agree with that. I mean, when you control listings, you control market share. When you control market share, you control your outcome, especially with how your production is going to go for the year. Because the listings, you get all those other agents basically working for you, right? In a lot of different levels, and you can leverage listings on a lot of different. I know we're trying to bring Matt in, and we're trying to bring a few other people in. So did anybody want to volunteer and go first with their listing presentation today?
I thought we voted you.
Oh, I'm starting off. Okay, I'll start it off. I don't care. I wasn't prepared for it, but I'll share my screen and kind of go through it with you guys. I mean, my listing presentation, a lot of it, 90% of it is doing a deep dive ahead of time. So let me kind of break it down. And the way that we're going to do this, you guys, is we're going to keep it at 15 minutes or less on how people do their listing presentation. So I'll have to try to share my screen. But before I do that, I really want to walk people through step by step on how my process works. Now, listen, everybody has their own process. There's no right or wrong. It all comes down to how effective you are and how you do your listing presentations and the results you get. And this has always benefited me. I'm always trying to improve or go to another level with it, because I think it's very, very important to get these presentations down so that you do improve and that you have a lot of success. So with that being said, and I'm going to put myself on the clock because, I'm usually pretty shy and I don't like to talk. So I want to make sure that I stay in compliance with what we're setting as far as ground rules. All right, so I'm off and running. 15 minutes. Here we go. So 90% of my process starts with asking questions to the potential sellers ahead of time. So what I do is the seller call comes in, or I come across the seller, whether at an open house, through a referral, something like that. 90% of my process is asking them questions and setting up a time to even have a deeper dive. So initially, I want to know, of course, their motivation, how much do they own their house, where do they live, all those types of things. And where are they going? I want to know what is driving them to look at the opportunity of selling their house. Then I always ask them, so how did you hear about me, or how did we get connected? So I want to be able to thank that person. After I get all that information, I always say, hey, listen, can I call you today or tomorrow? Or is there a better time to call where we can do a little bit deeper dive so that when I meet with you, I'm covering everything that you want to cover, and that we're putting a game plan together to get you the best possible successful outcome with selling your house. So a lot of times I'll determine right then and there what their urgency is. If they say, no, I want to see you tonight, then I know it's an urgent matter. Then I'll drop everything and I'll say, look, let's go through these questions right now. Now I have a list of 10 or 15 questions that I ask them, you guys, right up front. Excuse me. So when I go down through that list of questions, and of course I don't have it in front of me, but I have it somewhat memorized. The first question I ask is, so why are you looking to sell your house? It's a very straightforward question. You're going to get a lot of answers, and you have to listen really well. So I never interrupt them. I let them go as long as they need to go. And I'm writing everything down. You have to take notes, because it's important. These notes that you ask ahead of time in this deep dive, that's where you're going to bring those notes with you to the actual listing presentation. Now, a lot of times I don't bring with me documents into the listing presentation. I don't bring with me a lot of times set CRM or anything like that, because I think you have to be able to see the property first, understand it. Then I get the lowdown on the property. Even though I have the tax record in front of me, a lot of tax records are incomplete or inconsistent with what the house is. And a lot of times what I'll do too, if I have time before I ask these questions, you guys, the deep dive, is I'll look up when that house was on the market last, what it looked like. I will Google the person's name. I'll look them up on LinkedIn. I'll look them up on Instagram. I'll look them up on Facebook, because what I'm doing is I'm looking for connections. I'm looking for mutual connections that will create a bond or a relationship between us so that they are comfortable with me, because 9 times out of 10, it's a personality contest when you're going in up against other agents. Everybody, let's face the facts, and I'll clear the air and be very direct. A lot of people in real estate say the same shit. Excuse my language. You know, I'm going to do high res photos. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And then they get into how great I am and how it's going to benefit you. We got to flip that. I think the big thing is you have to come from an angle of the generosity generation. You know, how can I help you get to where you want to go? What am I going to bring to the table that helps you? So it's not about us saying, hey, I'm in, ABR, or I'm a CSR, or any of these alphabet that nobody gives a shit about, or I'm top 1% of this. You know, everybody likes to boast it. You could have that in your presentation ahead of time so that they can read it at their own leisure. But getting back to these questions, I'll get everything down about the house. How many bedrooms, how many baths, square footage, did you add anything? Was it permitted? And I'll have my title rep pull all the title on the house and all the permits down at the city ahead of time. Then I start asking the deep dive questions, all right? So if I were to sell your house in the next 30 days, would that pose a problem for you? They're gonna say yes or no. They say no, say great, everything's great, great. All right, so if I sold your house when I sell your house in the next 30 days, where are you moving to? I'm moving to Montana. All right. Why? Because Brian's there fishing. No, because that's where my grandkids are. Okay. So how old are your kids, and how old are your grandkids? What do you guys enjoy doing? You know, paint that picture to me. Why is that important? How old are the kids? Where do you want to live? Are you going to live with them? Are you going to live near them? What's that whole scenario? And you start finding their hot points. Okay. Then I ask them, what are you currently carrying on your house for mortgages? Not what do you owe, what are you currently carrying for mortgages? Because they may have multiple mortgages. We're going to see that moving forward in this time right now with the way that the market is. Then I ask them, are there anybody else that you're considering meeting with to help you sell your house? And I want to know those agents. Some people will give you the agents, some people won't. And if they say, well, I don't want to share who that is, say, I understand. I know that could be overwhelming. It's not a problem. The reason why I ask, and I want to make this perfectly clear, I'm not here to tell you the right or wrong about other agents. All I'm trying to do is give you solid data and information so that you can get the truth and have an educated decision. That's it. And what I'll share with them is my sales against the other person's sales or whatever. I'll never knock another agent. Even if the seller says, so what do you think about this agent? I always say, listen, I don't really know them. They seem nice. I don't know anything about their business. However, this is what I can share with you on what I can do for you and how I can benefit you and your family, or how I can make the move easier to Montana. Then I go down after that and I say, listen, you know, right now in the San Diego market, 22% of the sales have been all cash. Would you entertain a cash offer? They're going to say yes. That's the next question, right? So that leads to the following question. So if an all cash offer came in, and understand, guys, I've already done all the research on their house. So I have an idea of where it stands in the marketplace. So let's say the house is worth 2.5 million. So I'll say if an all cash person brought in an offer at $2 million, close in 10 days as is that something you would entertain? right? Is that something that you would accept? And they're going to say yes or no. If they say maybe, then I know where their hut zone is on their bottom line. Because if they say no, 2 million, they're going to say no, 2 million is too low. I'll say, okay, how about 2.25, 10 days? And I just go very rapid. And they say, no, 2.25. All right, how about 2.5? All cash, close in 10 days. Yeah, I would entertain that. That's their bottom line. I don't have to ask them, hey, what's your bottom line or what's your flexibility, like a lot of agents will ask. Because a lot of times they don't want to give that up. They want you as the true professional to share with them, where does the house stand in the current marketplace right now? That's why they're interviewing you, okay? Then I go down and I say, listen, guys, have you ever entertained selling the house yourself? If not, why not? You know, what do you do for a living? I start getting into that. Would you consider carrying a note back? Do you owe, what do you know, based on what your mortgages are, would you carry a note? Would you offer seller financing? You're going to get through all of that, those types of things. Then towards the end, I say, listen, I see hundreds of houses a week. So if what I say makes sense to you when I come over and you're confident and comfortable that I can help you sell your home, are you ready to go? Are you ready to sign and move forward? I ask them that question. And then I say, listen, when we meet, it's important for you to understand that I need all the decision makers there. So if your husband isn't going to be there or your wife's not going to be there, let's do it when everybody's there. And the reason being, because I want all decision makers in the room so they can ask me the questions that they have for me also. All right. I can get you this list, you guys. Like I said, I don't have it in front of me. This is just all memorized. And then I pre-frame what the expectation should be when we meet in person. I'll say, look, it's going to take 30 to 45 minutes to go through the house and answer any of your questions, and then to do the paperwork or to send over the paperwork. That'll take another 15 to 20 minutes because it's all done digitally. That's how we do it. And we'll always send you a paper copy if that's what you prefer. And I go right through that, you guys. And then I set the appointment. Then what I do is I do a quick video saying, hey, I'm super excited to see your house tomorrow night at 5 o'clock. I'm really looking forward to meeting you and seeing what you did to your house. I mean, based on what you told me, sounds amazing. And I think it's going to be, you know, we're going to have a lot of success. Just everything's upbeat, positive, so forth. But what I'm doing is I'm reconfirming the appointment, because you want to reconfirm the appointment. And I call the day of the appointment and say, listen, I'm going to be coming over at this time. Just want to make sure all the decision makers are there. And I send over my pre-listing package ahead of time. I say, please review it for 15 minutes. Write down any questions that you have for me that are pertinent. And please have 2 keys ready and any previous appraisals or inspections that you've had recently done on the house. And if you've added any square footage or done any work, please have those materials ready too. Because I know that if I walk through the door, and I'm always early for my listing appointments by 15 minutes. If I walk through the door and they have all that there, I know I'm getting the listing.
Yeah.
I know they're ready to go. So I give them assignments. I never show up to the listing appointment with 2 arms the same length. I always bring something for the sellers. Could be chocolates, could be cupcakes, could be donuts. And I always say the same thing. I'm on a diet. I want you guys to enjoy these. These are delicious. They're from always a local place, to show that I'm hyper local, because that means that they understand the community like I do. They're probably familiar with that place that makes the cupcakes or the cookies or whatever, the chocolates. And the great thing is it's an instant bond, an instant connection. Half the time we talk about the place that made the cupcakes 15 minutes. You know, then I say, hey, can you guys show me around? I want to know everything you did to the house, everything that you did, everything that you added. And the guys will always take you to the garage. The women will always take you to the bathrooms and the kitchen and all that shit, right? And the guys are thrilled. The guys finally get to talk because they've been sequestered usually for years. They can't explain anything that they did to the house. They'll say, oh, I did this to the outside, or look at these cabinets I put in the garage. Aren't they fantastic? Oh, they're dynamite. You know, those are going to put us over the top. The cabinets in the garage are going to make a fortune, right? And then she wants to talk about the kitchen and the baths and the flooring and the lighting and different things that she did, right? And you get all that and you take all those notes all the way down. You repeat back to them what they did. And I always say, can you give me kind of a guesstimate what you spent on this? For two reasons I ask that question. I want to know in their mind, they're adding up what they spent or what they put in the house, because everybody wants to get that back if it's possible. The next thing too is I want to be able to advise them the right way on what their cost basis is, you guys. So what they bought the house for, I already know that. Now I'm adding up what improvements they put into the house, because it changes their cost basis for tax reasons. When they sell, an individual gets a $250,000 deduction on their primary residence. A married couple gets $500,000. So that's how I look at that, because I'm going to utilize that later on to show them the benefits. Why should they sell and why it's their primary and so forth, and all the benefits that the government gives them. Now, I'm in the last minute. Let me try to share my screen and go to, this is going to be interesting. Try to go to my presentation. Give me one second.
We'll let you slide, Pete. We'll let you slide.
No, it's okay. I don't want to slide. I just have to try to pull it up here. That's it. Give me 1 second.
This is good stuff, though.
Well, this is a fast overview of it, you know, and if we want to do a deeper dive, we will. Let me see. Hold on, guys. Let me see if I can get to this. Hold on. This computer is sending me through everything.
Sing us a song, Mitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun.
Give me 1 second,
I
guys.
thought you would have went right into Billy Joel, sing me a song, it's a melody. You know what I thought?
You need a piano for that one.
Yeah.
Bottle of red, a bottle of white.
One of my favorite songs.
Yeah.
So Pete is really, really good at listing presentations, not so good at technology.
I'm terrible at technology, and look at my timer just went off, so my 15 minutes are up too. Let me see here, guys. Give me 1 second.
Pete, if you want to keep looking for that, I'd love to talk next and kind of go over what I think are the kind of the pivotal points.
Yeah, why don't you, Cam, why don't you take it from here? I'll search for this and I'll jump back in, because my listing presentation is pretty straightforward and I'll be able to show it to people. All right.
Perfect. Cool. So I think you know, what Pete just went over is we're going to kind of repeat a lot of the same stuff, but there are three parts really to a listing presentation. You have your pre-listing presentation when you're on the phone, right? That's a lot what Pete was talking about. And that's really when you're going to be asking your questions. You need to figure out what their motivation is, why they're moving. Now, for the past few years, they've been moving because obviously they're making money. Everyone's making money hand over fist. They're able to sell it and get double what they paid for it, and good for them. Well, as the market shifts, or as they're not going to be making any money, or they sometimes even need to come to closing with money, they really need to have a motivation, and they need a reason to be moving from their home. And you need to find what that is. And they'll tell you, if you just ask them, guys, ask them very direct questions. You know, when you sell this home, where are you going next? And what's taking you there? And then shut up. Quiet. That's the business. That's the most important thing, is ask direct questions and then don't say anything until you get a reply. Listen intently and then repeat it back to them. Oh, you're going to Park City. Oh, I love it in Park City. I was just out there. And then you can build rapport with them. But every direct question, you listen, you repeat it back, and you confirm what they say. And that's very, very, very important. I do have a list. These are obviously some of my favorite questions, and they have a lot of what Pete just said there. But are you planning on interviewing more than just myself to sell this home? And the reason I ask that is because if they say yes, great. You know that when you're going out there, you can schedule around that. Obviously, I personally like to be the last agent. Some agents like to be the first agent, but everyone's a little bit different. I like to be the last because I can go in and show them everything that we do. It blows everybody else out of the water. We have more sales, we have more views, blah, 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 blah. So I prefer that. Now, if you are going to be the last agent and they do say, yes, we're going to interview multiple agents, make sure you make them promise that they will not list with anybody else. You have to promise me, Ann, that I really have to show you this. And if you do that, it'll break my heart. Please promise me that you're not going to list with anybody before you see what we're doing. It's just so much light years above everybody else. And make them do that a few times, guys. Reaffirm that they're not going to list. If you want to go first, when you're at the listing presentation, I'll call them, I'll whatever. But I always prefer to go last. The other thing about that, you also brought that up, Pete, is that if they are going to interview more than one agent, one of my favorite things to do is say, oh, I can do an agent report card for them. Now, you got to be pretty confident in yourself, and you had to be busting your butt in the past so that your agent report card looks good. But an agent report card simply is an MLS printout of everything that personal agent has done in the last 12 months. If they say they'd love it, great, you can bring it with you. If they say no, don't care, that's up to them. But I have gotten many listings over my years because the agent that they were choosing was a friend, family, referral, and they sold 3 homes. And then you come in and you sold 200, it looks a lot different. And that's something that obviously it's something that you can do. So obviously it gives you a lot of different angles that you can take the conversation. How soon do you got to be there? Obviously it's super important. How soon do you need to move there? And then one of the other important questions that everyone needs to ask when you're doing your pre-listing presentation or on the phone is, how much do you want to list the home for? I know, Pete, you kind of brought that up, and a lot of people will say, well, that's what I'm doing. That's what you're for. Absolutely. I just wanted to know if you had a number in mind, or maybe if you've been told something in the past and there was a number you had to get, because if that number is not possible, I want to let you know, and I don't want to waste your time. And that way, when you do come out, they're on the understanding that everyone's under the understanding. It'll also give you, if you know the price is going to be a problem, you know that coming into, it's not a big shocker, obviously, during the listing presentation. So I really highly recommend asking, what are you planning on listing the home for? Or what do you want to list the home for? Be direct, you guys. And then again, shut up, quiet, just don't say anything. Even if it's awkward for 5 seconds, just shh, and they'll answer. They'll give you a number, or like Pete said, maybe they'll say, well, that's what you're here for. That's great. Have you ever thought about selling it yourself? That's another key one. Again, they're going to say, no, it's too much work. Great. If they ever come down and then they want to knock your commission, you say, well, remember, guys, we just talked about it on the phone. Selling it yourself is always an option. And you told me you didn't want to do that because of all the work. I'm going to be doing not only all that work that you would normally do, but then I have this huge marketing that I'm going to be doing. I do more work than just that. And that's a really easy transition there if they try to knock your commission during the listing presentation. Okay, so during the listing presentation, we had a couple things. I come in with my iPad. I have just a basic slideshow. It's the exact same slideshow as my pre-listing presentation that I emailed to them. It's exactly the same. It shows them all of our past sales. It shows them all of our marketing. So it has this big, beautiful spider graph. And then obviously it shows them all of the views that I'm getting on social media. That's my number one draw during the listing presentation, is that I can generate you 5 million views on your home today. No one else can do that. You want the most views on your home, right? Great, good. So you want to hire me because I can do that. Nobody else can do that. Once they go into there, obviously the third part of the listing presentation is the close. So once they say, yes, we want to do that, great, sign the contract, then you'll hear their objections or hear their concerns. The next objective there for the close is you are answering their objectives. And what I mean by that is you're not telling them, you're not showing them, you are listening to their objective, you're listening to their objection, and you are answering their question, because all an objection is we have more questions, right? So really the only objection you should have by the time that you get to this stage where you've shown them what you do, you've shown them your statistics, you've shown them your marketing, they want to work with you. The only real objection typically we have is price. That's what it comes down to. It comes down to, yes, we want to list with you. You do the most marketing. We called you out here, but we want more money than you think you can sell it for quickly, right? So that is an objection that everyone in their own market is going to have to handle. I will say in our market, here's what I do. If it's relatively close, I'm going to say within 5%. We'll list it for your 5%, but I want a 7-day price reduction pre-signed at the listing. That brings it down to my number, because I'm willing to do all this marketing. I'll get you all the views. I'm going to do the best I can and more than everybody else. But I want to know that if it isn't getting we aren't getting the offers in 7 days, I don't have to come back to you with the bad news, because we already know, what the reality is, but I'm willing to market it. So that is the easiest close for price. There's many others. We're going to talk about those, I think, later on. And then obviously the only other objection really you could have is they like somebody better, which means that you got to go back to kind of the objection answering, the report building, that section to make them like you. if you have the statistics, if you have the numbers, if you don't personally use your team, use us here at EXP. That's what we're here for. Make sure you're leveraging your team and your groups with your numbers, because that is a main driving force for most people is reviews. So yeah, that's my quick thing. I think I'm about out of time.
All right, I
Who wants
like
to go
that.
next?
That was good stuff.
Hey, Pete, I don't have a lot, so why don't you let me do mine? After you do, did you find your sheet?
Found it. I'm trying to bring it up. I hate that Steve Jobs. I'd kill him if he was alive. But let me see here.
That's rough.
Let me
What?
see here. Sorry. I know Dennis loves Apple. He's like the Apple king. I'm more of the guy. All right. Can anybody see that or not?
Nope.
Oh, awesome. How great is that?
Well, you haven't shared your screen yet.
Well, I'm trying to. The problem is every time I do it, it sends me somewhere else. So
Only for you, Pete.
yeah, let's see. Let's see if I can share my screen.
Where's your assistant, Pete? Come on.
She's not next to me. I can assure you that. And
You just need your 9-year-old son.
yeah, yeah, you could probably do it. Let me see here. Sorry, guys. I don't know why it's not doing this. In 1 second. You guys keep talking. Go ahead.
Hey,
Yeah, I'll go ahead. While he's doing that, I'll go because I'm literally mine's gonna be like 5 minutes because
Yep, go
pretty
ahead.
much a lot of the stuff that these guys talked about is stuff that I do. Calling up. I do not have a pre-listing package. Probably should, but I never have. I would literally call people, ask them questions about their house, about why they're moving, get my appointment, and show up with my appointment. I'm really basic. Firstly, if they have a pet, and by the way, I'm always in a suit. I'm always at least 10 minutes early. Like Pete, I'm always early, never late, ever. If I'm going to be 1 minute late because of traffic, I'm calling them, I'm saying I'm going to be 1 minute late. If they have a pet, I'm immediately on the floor getting hair all over my body from the pet all over me, and I don't have to do a listing presentation. I get the listing automatically. The pet loves you, you get it automatically. So I have a couple of things that are a little bit different than these guys. I want to go over real quick. One, instead of having them show me around the house, I actually don't do that. I put my paperwork down and I said, what I'd like to do is I want to walk around your house before we get going, as a buyer would walk around the house, so I can see it from a buyer's perspective. And then I walk around the house taking notes from what I'm looking at. And then when I get back to the table, I say, so tell me about any upgrades that you've done with the house. And then we go through that process. But I always like to look at the house as a buyer, because I think that's going to give me a different insight than them showing me around the house. So that's number one. We sit down. Most of my is rapport building, talking about their family, why they're moving, where they're moving, what's their time frame, things like that, just like everybody else, no difference. I do like to ask them what price they thought it was worth, because that gives me a tool that tells me, all right. And by the way, I know what price it is because I went on Zillow beforehand and looked at what they saw, because they went on Zillow and said, all right, my house is worth $600,000. I know what I'm going into, but I want them to tell me that. And I have two different paths at this point. I'm either going to go down a path where I have to tell them their thought is wrong because it's way overpriced, or I'm going to be the hero because it's way underpriced. Right. And sometimes it's right on, but very seldom. So we get into that conversation. But here's my two things that I say that I think are different than everybody else. And I want to bring these two things up because they are pretty much why I've gotten every listing I've gone on the last 10 years. I did lose one last year. It's the first one I can remember losing in the last 10 years because the dog didn't like me. And I've never had a dog not like me. It was the weirdest thing. And I didn't get the listing. Maybe because I didn't have hair all over my body. But anyway, so two things when I'm sitting down, I always ask them if they're working with another realtor. And I love when they say yes. And I'll first of all, I'll give you an example. One was Lady Barbara, one of them really well-known realtor. I go, I love Barbara. She's one of my favorite realtors in the county. And I go, what did Barbara tell you to list the price at? And I'll give you the exact example. She said $999, $999. It's $1 million house. I go, I love Barbara, but let me tell you the difference between a realtor that's a marketing expert and just a realtor. For $1, Barbara gave away 50% of your marketing. And they're like, what are you talking about? So people search from $500,000 to $1 million and $1 million to 1.5. in this market, in this price range. Anybody looking from 1 to 1.5 will never see your property, ever, right? So, and the other part of that is, let me ask you a question. You're looking to buy a home right now, right? They say, do you want to be the top of your price range or the bottom of your price range? 100% everybody says bottom. No one's ever said I want to spend more money than I possibly spend. And then from there, I go, not only is nobody from the 1 to 1.5 million dollar property going to be the one you see, you're the last property they're going to look at in the 500 to $1 million range. And literally, I've secured almost all my listings with that lingo. And sometimes I'll pull up, if I have my computer with me, I'll pull up all the listings and show them. Right? If they haven't been working with a realtor, let me show you the difference between a marketing person. I'll see this one at $599.9, see this one at $399.9, and I'll show them how most realtors think, which is not correct. So that's the one thing I say. The other thing that's really important that I say, we're so good at internet marketing that not only do we get you on every major portal in the world, but we're going to micro market you all the way down to the local agent and the local broker and get you on every single one of their websites too. Every single one of you have that. It's called IDX on your website, but I've never heard anybody else ever say that. So those are my two differentials when I'm marketing to somebody. I mean, the rest of it is the same. To me, we all do pretty much the same, but I don't have a flip chart. I don't have any brochures. I literally come in there with my comps, and I come in with my actives and my pendings and my solds. And most of my relationships, I literally talk for less than 1 minute about that. Right. And we just, I give them a range. I go, this is the range of the property. But the reality is based on what we're looking at right now, you're going to be at the upper end of the range. You're going to be the middle end of the range. And that's it. I'm a big believer. It's more about relationship than it is about anything. I've tried so many times. I've gone into a house where they say, oh yeah, we're going to interview 2 or 3 more people. And by the time we leave, they say, you know what? We don't really need to look at anybody else. You're our realtor. Because I do a great job of building rapport, and I differentiate myself not by touting my expertise and everything, but just telling them those 2 little tweaks, pricing and how we market on the internet. And that really has been a game changer for me. Kevin, you had a question or you want to add something?
One thing that you said that you actually didn't say intentionally, but there's a couple really important intro lines. One of my favorites is, I'm curious, and then you can put whatever you want behind that. And the other one you said unintentionally, which was, I have a quick question, just one quick question. And you can throw that into anywhere in a conversation, and you can completely kind of divert the conversation back to a question that the answer to, right? Again, one of my absolute favorites is, I'm curious, and then you pause, and then you can ask anything you want, and you can redirect the conversation when you're building rapport. But I heard you say that. I know that you do that one as, well, real quick question, or can you mind if I ask you a quick question? And it's habitual now, but for people that are just kind of learning, on your toes sales talk, so to speak, which is what a live presentation is, when you need to get a conversation back to where you need it to be, those are 2 of my absolute favorites. So I just wanted to bring that up.
And the big part of this is flowing with the flow. So I have 0 talent. The only blessing I have is I'm really reactionary. So that's why I can't be a stand-up comic, because I don't tell jokes. I just say funny shit. But and it's the same thing when I go on a listing appointment. I'm not one of those guys that prepares really well, but I've learned I'm a words guy. So like I said, a quick question, or talking about the pricing, or talking about the internet marketing, those are the buzzwords, right? Those are how I can differentiate myself from everybody else, regardless. And the rest of it is from here. And you guys have heard me say this many, many times. I sell from my heart. I sell from my heart. Never talk about politics, and I never talk about religion. I talk about puppies and kitties, and where they move into and their children. And I get to know them as a person, and they fall in love with me because I'm a nice guy. And I have those few things that show them I'm a lot smarter than they are. The other thing I do, if you're new, I'm gonna throw these couple things out real quick. If you're new, I used to do this though. It's true, but it's a little slant on words. So when I first started my first listing appointment, I said, let me explain something to you. I never take more than 3 listings at a time, because I had no listings. It was easy to say, right? And then when I got up to 5 listings, I said, I never take more than 5 listings at a time. And then when I got up to 10, I said, I never take any more than 10 active listings at a time. And it gives it more like this, you're doing this personalized thing. So when you're new and you say that stuff, you should never tell anybody that you're new. If they don't ask you, don't do it. The only way they're gonna ask you that if you're walking on, I'm gonna try to get your listing to help you. So if you don't have confidence, the only thing I have is confidence. I don't have much else. I can look at this. This is not. They're not using me because I'm like this beautiful guy. I'm not Pete. I have to actually have a personality and make stupid jokes. If you go in there with total confidence and you want to help people and you sell from your heart, you'll always win. So anyway, that's my
Always.
stuff.
I agree with that because listen, guys, getting back to what Cam and Mitch said, right? It's a personality contest and you need connection. People want connection. They want to be able to trust you and believe in you and that you're going to get it done for them. Because at the end of the day, what every seller wants, I don't care if you're selling a mobile home, you're selling a condo, a townhouse, a big house, a luxury mansion. Everybody wants three things. They want to know, what's the top price you can get me? How long is it going to take? And what do I have to pay you? So, that's what they're looking for. Get me the most amount of money out of my house in the shortest period of time with the least amount of headaches. And what do I have to pay you? That's what they want to know. And when you're directing that, you have to really bring them down this path so that they understand the value that you're bringing to the table, not only with the experience. Now, if you're a newer agent, as Mitch was suggesting, don't say, oh, this is my first listing. Bring somebody with you and split it with them or join a team and leverage their numbers and their track record because it'll get you more business. Anybody can go out there and take an overpriced listing. Some of the greatest listings I've ever taken in the last 30 years are the ones that I didn't take. Think about that. All right, because when you overprice a listing, not only does it send a message to the public that you either don't know what you're doing or you're a dreamer or you're just trying things, which will resonate with some people, but it'll turn a lot of people off. They'll think you're crazy. And on the other side, your colleagues will say this person doesn't know what the hell they're doing, and they're going to make us all look bad because they're overpricing the house and trying to beat it down over time. The saying I think somebody told me the other day is to be the firstborn, the second wife, and the third realtor, right? That's what we're going into this type of market because you're going to see a lot of realtors price it where the seller wants them to price it. I like what Cam had to say, write in, say, look, I have no problem pricing a competitive price for a certain period of time, but we need to write in there that it needs to adjust to be in alignment. Otherwise, you're going to miss the market. And here's why. And you got to explain it to them and educate them. The last thing I possibly talk about is the big C word, commissions. The big C word in this market is going to be change of price, but I don't use it as commissions. I use it as professional fees. I'm a professional. So when they say, what is your commission? I say, oh, you mean the professional fees. This is how the professional fees break down. Change your vernacular with how you discuss this with people because nobody likes paying commissions. Everybody understands paying a fee for professional service and professional guidance and professional negotiating. And I think the other big thing too is you have to be able to tell stories that relate to your audience, right? And stories about moving people a certain amount or whatever. Last night on one of my listings, the buyer's agent got me on the phone with the buyer. And he said, well, the market's going south and there's no comps. And this, I said, I completely understand where you're coming from. However, and this came from Dave Lawson, I said, have you ever assessed your QTR when it comes to this? Right? He said, what's that? He thought it was going to be something, an objection based on the money amount or the financing. I said, the QTR is the quality time remaining in your life. Are you buying it to sell it in 2 to 5 years? Guy said, no, I'm going to stay forever. This is my last stop. I said, so why would you even try to negotiate with yourself with the thought of missing this opportunity and making memories? And I had to bring him back to that. And, ultimately he said, well, this is all I'm willing to pay. I mean, he was $1 million under the asking, over $1 million, but that's the market we're in. I didn't say, no, I don't own the house. I said, listen, I don't own the house. Put it in writing. We'll try. We'll see what we can do. And I can assure you one thing. I always tell the truth because it's the easiest thing to remember, number one. And number two, I'll be straightforward with you. I'll go to bat with you. I'll talk to my seller. why don't I just get their bottom line? I don't like to play games in this situation. And I came back, I moved them 900 grand in 24 hours. That's it. So it's all how you, everybody's going to try it, you guys. You got to have skills and you have to have set. So I think I have my listing presentation. This one, it's always improving. It's always, I'm adding to it, but I think this one visually that you guys will take a look at and you can see what precedes me through the door. You know, your listing presentation has to be factual. It has to be impactful. It has to have a certain design style and sense to it and so forth. And you know, listen, everybody does it their own way. This is how I do it. I'm in the luxury space. So let me share my screen and see if everybody can see this. And we'll go from there. I think I got around Steve Jobs BS and, you know, we'll make sure this is all set. All right. Does everybody see it?
Yes.
Good. Thank God. All right. So let's move on. So this is the opening page. It comes binded. It's delivered to them, usually with a note from me saying setting expectations and so forth. So this is the opening page, my branding. Here's the second and third page. All right. So this just gives brief description. And like I said, this is probably taking into consideration some of my moves and where I've been in the past. But this is how it all looks. It all has a certain feel all the way through it. So this is page, you know, we had 2 and 3. This is 4 and 5. And it kind of shows, you know, I've sold over $2 billion worth of real estate, closed more than 3,000 homes. So it's setting a precedent with the people when they read it about my qualifications. You know, here's a client success story where they didn't think they were going to sell their house. We sold it. Meet the team, kind of gives a breakdown of people on my team and kind of their background. But you can see it's always full bleed images that are very impactful. You know, why work with us? This shows the unique selling proposition right here. How many dedicated agents that are full, average days on markets, team's average list price, our average list to sale price. And I talk about these points and make a separation with everybody else in the marketplace, because I'll say, listen, right now in San Diego County, it's 89% or it's 91%, you know? So the difference is 5-6%. And then I talk about charities, I talk about other things, how we will work for you. This is how this is all set up. You know, our 5 fundamentals for success, and I say for your success, for your family's success.
Yeah.
All right. Brokered by innovation, fastest growing real estate company in history of real estate. I give a little background on EXP and where we are. Then I power in the numbers, how much we've done in total sales. Then I show all the different aspects of how we market and where we are on the intelligent marketing. World's your audience, like Mitch was saying, hey, we're going to blast it out there and have you get maximum exposure on a global basis. All the different sites that we link to and how we're going to expose your property. You know, print strategies in different magazines and publications, that's usually hyper local. This Performances magazine, this is something I had been doing for years, where I had the back cover for all the playhouses and symphony and everything, because people who go to those events have money, they're affluent. So that was my target market. Now I made up a lot of these ads myself. A lot of it are family based and very personal. And the reason being because I want them to see that other side of me, that it will connect with them. Targeting the right buyers, you know, because they all ask, where do you feel the buyers are going to come from? How are you going to target them? What are you going to do? And I bring them through this whole process. 90-day marketing plan. And I always say, this is going to be personalized for you. I'm going to send this to you after you sign the paperwork. Within 24 hours, we're going to have it completely personalized for your house and your strategy and in your journey. Private collection. So if somebody doesn't want to put their house on the market, but they want to market it off market, I say we can cover that. This is how we do it. You're going to sign an exclusive agency listing Now I can only share it with people in my brokerage to be in compliance. However, I can shop it around and see who we have in our database. We have more than 8,000 qualified buyers right now in our database, ready to go, looking for certain opportunities. And I feel this could fit a certain amount of those. Then I show them some of the notable sales that I've done in the area and what we sold for them. And a lot of times, one of these sales will connect with them. You notice there's a lot of different price ranges, and they'll in a lot of different areas. So they'll say, "Oh, I remember that house," or "I remember that person couldn't sell it. You're the one who sold it." Yeah, let me tell you the story. Here's more notable sales. And then what is your problem? And of course, this is all ahead of time that they've already read all this, hopefully. And then I show all the social media side of it and where we're marketing it. And then I show them all the charities that I'm involved in. And a lot of times I say, based on selling your house, I'm going to make a charitable donation to your favorite charity or one of these. And then I talk about how I've dealt with other agents and how they respect me, and how that's the other part of marketing that we're doing, not only to the consumers, but to my colleagues. And a lot of times I ask them to read that ahead of time, or I'll send it to them in PDF. I ask them, do you want it in print or PDF or whatever they need? And it is a reflection of me. It creates a certain emotion, a certain lifestyle of operations, or how I'm dressed, or how we do things. Everything is done to a T. And then after I get the listing signed, then I ask them, how do you prefer to be communicated with? What's important to you? How often do you want to be communicated with? Pigeon carrier, is it belly to belly? What is it, right? Is it smoke signals, right? Brian sends smoke signals down near the river, and that's why he's selling all the different places along the river. You need to know your crowd and what relates them, because if you have high-end people, a lot of them are going to prefer text. But the problem is text I'm going to give you updates on every Monday and Thursday. You'll hear from me no matter what. And every 25 days, if the property hasn't sold, bless you, Mitch, I'll do a brand new market analysis on their property based on what the competition where it's trending. And I share that with them. And that's usually belly to belly. Because even if you have it in there, and this has happened in the past, people will say, oh, let's hold off. Somebody was interested. I know, Cameron, you said we're going to lower it after. And what does that do? It delays you getting other offers and so forth. So you got to be really careful with that. But,
quick objection handle there, Pete. If anyone ever says that, you say, what do you say? You say, that's great. You know what we should do? Let's present an offer. Wasting our time. Let's give them that offer. We can write it for them, right? As a seller, we write it for them. They just say, no, thanks. Then let's not wait. Let's drop the price, because not even they're interested. So it even gives you more proof that you need to lower the price.
That's why we love him down in South Florida. Listen, that's why we send him a lot of sunscreen and keep him out of the sun. We need him sharp and fresh. right? But the big thing there is you're going to see that more often now in this marketplace, in the market that we're going into, where the seller's offer, the seller's terms, or the communication, you immediately get a price reduction and reset it. You don't wait on the buyer. It shows the seller that you're pro. I'm going to give it another 30 days. I'm going to give it another 6. Nothing's happening. You're missing the market. You're going to leave money on the table because every single seller out there thinks there's a golden horseshoe or a golden notify. You'll see showings and offers fall off usually after the first 14 days. Then it's a different market, you know, and it's usually not beneficial. It's detrimental. You know, they all tell you, I had a seller last. They had a house on the market for 90 days and it was new construction, and a Chinese couple came from mainland China, walked in, liked the house, didn't even negotiate, stroked a check for $12,250,000 cash, and didn't easier time getting an offer from a fortune cookie than that. But I mean, that does happen every blue moon. And I said to the guy, hold on a second. He said, what? I said, I'm checking for something. He said, what are you checking for? Where was this house situated? Oh, it was in Houston, Texas. Oh, okay. So Texas, where they have no state taxes. Yeah, okay. And did they have to be in Houston by a set time? Oh yeah, they were trying to set up residency and get their money out of China. Those objections, because otherwise these people sit around and wait 6 months for the next Chinese buyer to come in, which doesn't happen that often. So know your numbers. I know that in San Diego, up every sale based on the surnames and did the research. I mean, that's so 98% did not come from China. How about that? So where's the target market? Those objections. And if you don't know the stories and know how to do it, that's the problem. Go ahead, Mitch, you're up.
Yeah, so just a quick comment on the doing when I had customers that were stuck on their price and things like that. In live comparison. So I would actually take a customer out and we'd go look at properties that day. And I'd say, so this price, this kitchen better than your kitchen? Well, yeah, it's a little bit nicer. Okay. Is this pool better than your pool? Etc. Going through the houses. And I would do that with 3 or 4 or 5 homes. And by the time we're done, they realize the house is overpriced.
Right.
So I can show them this house has been on the market for 25 days. We admit it's got a better kitchen, it's got a better pool area, and it's the same size. So therefore, if their house is shown to this, your house is not going to sell this, correct? And that really made it very simple. A little more work, obviously, because you got to take them out and show property. But it definitely helps when you do it. And you can't really do it with pictures. It doesn't have the same effect. You really got to take them and walk through a property and show them the difference of the property. But that was a great way we worked. The other thing on lowering prices, this is a little more challenging these days because of Zillow. But so when you lower a price of a property, your property gets sent out to the masses through the internet. So we would literally lower prices $1. And what happens, we lowered $1 every Thursday and until the house sold. And that would get it refreshed every Friday morning when people started looking at what they want to look at for the weekend. Their house was front and center again. A little more difficult because now they show you that on Zillow, the price drop of $1. And so people that are looking on Zillow get a little upset, but we still do that. I just had while we were sitting here, the reason why I said that, one of the guys texted me, just did that last week and sold the house by doing that. So just a couple of extra tips.
Yeah, we got a couple extra minutes left, you guys. I feel like I kind of hijacked this whole mastermind, but you guys did put me on the spot. Listen, if you're gonna call me out, I'm bringing the heat. So
Come
I
on.
want to help people get more listings. We get more listings, we all win. Cameron had some great stuff. Cam, thanks for contributing. Brian's up. He's got his hand up in the river. He just put down his fishing rod. Ask me the question, Brian. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I was just gonna comment on that and not get into anything about listing presentations, but one of the things that I've learned when you do have a seller who's a bit overpriced, or like you were just talking about, Cameron and Mitch, about price reductions, I think it's really important that whenever you receive an offer, regardless of the amount of the offer from any buyer, with that offer, even if it's ridiculously low, what I've learned is you need to really quickly put a net sheet together with your escrow and everything to show them what that lowball offer means to them. You show them the net, now they begin to talk about, well, that's ridiculous. I'd never sell it for that net. Okay, what should we counter at? Well, I don't want to counter them. Well, do you know that if I have a counter offer in place, it allows me to tell other agents we have activity, and with that activity, I can leverage this lowball offer to get you a better offer, and then I'll get a new net sheet. And then I end up with a price reduction if I have a seller that's overpriced.
Love it. It's great advice, you guys. You got to think outside the box. Now, Brian, when you do that, when you have that conversation, are you doing it belly to belly if possible, or are you doing it, over the phone?
Yeah, when possible, I love to do it face to face, or like we're doing right now, get my client online, because the goal is to not do them a disservice by not leveraging inventory that we know might be a little overpriced. But our job is to not really do as much of a disservice as we can, because I know that most agents will just turn that down. They won't even want to present it to their seller because they're afraid their seller is going to make a judgment on, why would you bring me this lowball offer attitude? Like, you're ridiculous. Maybe I chose the wrong listing agent. That's when you have to go back, and reframe. Well, listen, this price at this market, and now you can use all that to leverage it. But it's very rare that it ever happens, just so you know. I'm just bringing it up right now that for those who are watching who overprice a listing just to get a listing, you're gonna wish you didn't take an overpriced listing without some tools to get it down. And one of the ways you get it down is to start using net sheets. Start using net sheets. Here's what it means. Here's what it means. Here's what it means.
Net sheets are really powerful, you guys. And what I would do a lot of times too, I would go sit with them belly to belly, and I bring a pen and I break it down on the net sheet, and I highlight it and circle it and say, this is what you're going to net. Here's the pen. We have two options. We can either accept it or we can counter it. What would you like to do? There's only two offers. Two options. It's not three. If they say, no, I'm insulted, I always say, well, when was the other agent here? Did he kick you in the leg? Do we have to file charges against him? Why would you be insulted? You should be insulted by all the other agents who showed it to all the other buyers who didn't make an offer. That's what you should be insulted by. These people are trying to buy your house. And I know we're in the final 30 seconds, but
one thing I love, just getting any offer, which I always tell our clients, like, look, we want any offer that comes in, because the moment we have one offer on the table, my communication changes with everybody else going forward when agents call me. And when agents call me like, hey, do you have any offers? Like, I say, well, we do have something. I don't know if we're going to come to an agreement. So if you have a buyer that's really interested, like, get me over that offer. And it creates a little bit of urgency, but I also give them hope, right? That there is a chance that that offer I have won't work. So we'll probably work with you, right? So it just gives me that ability, and I never have to disclose where the offer is, right?
No, that's a great point. And I think, somebody was asking how to get net sheets. Any escrow or title company can do it for you. If you're in a state that uses attorneys, there are programs online. If you just Google real estate net sheets, there are programs where you can plug and play, but you do need to have an understanding of what the seller's mortgages are or outstanding balances. So you understand that, and you can give them a net sheet. And always write at the top of the net sheet, estimate. Estimate's important, highlight it. This is an estimate because it can change. And, you know, I bring a lot of net sheets with me, multiple ones when I go to list a house. The reason being because if they're not comfortable with the net sheet, when I go to list the house, they're not going to be comfortable selling it later on, or they'll have to come in with money or so forth. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to continue the series going. We're at our max here. Next week, I'm going to nominate the ROG, otherwise known as the Real Estate Opportunity Guide. We're going to go coast to coast pretty much. We're going the ROG. He's going to have 15, 20 minutes. And we're going to also go with Dave, the luxury legend Lawson, out in Park City. And we'll put those two guys on the hot seat for listing presentations next week. And then we'll take questions. And then the following week, it's going to be Bobby, the best hair in the business, Martins. And we're going to have Matt Battiata. And then we'll move on to Brian and Randy and Dennis and everybody else. Okay,
Yeah.
so I think that's how we should do it.
This is good. And this is part of our commitment to you guys to go deeper with some of our content instead of, you know, chopping it up into 5-minute segments. So awesome stuff, Pete. We haven't heard from you in a while, so this was good. You're a great facilitator, like I told you, but we need more Pete nuggets.
I don't want to hijack the thing. I have a lot of nuggets. They start flowing. I start flowing like like Jay-Z.
Like
Yeah,
that water,
you know?
like that water behind you.
Yeah, I'm free flowing. All right, everybody. Well, listen, have a great weekend. Be successful, be positive, ask for the orders, and let's make it happen. We'll see you guys next week.
See you guys. Take care, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Hey guys, thank you.